AM 1460, the new WXBR. You are listening to the Metro South Morning Show, PM in the AM. Peter Zimbor here with you this morning. In the late 90s and early 2000s, my next guest accrued significant radio airplay and popularity with his band due to the hit singles Blue Monday, their cover of the 1980s New Order hit, and their appearances at the Family Values Tour. Now he's back with his band Orgy. Their new single is Wide Awake and Dead. From the band Orgy, we welcome the lead singer, Jay Gordon. Jay, good morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. How are you this morning?
I am doing fantastic. Jay, in 1998 and 2000, Orgy was a band that had major label albums, platinum and gold respectively, and now it's been nearly 10 years since you guys have released a proper album. There's been some singles here and there. What's been going on with the band, and why are you coming back now with this new single?
True. Well, basically, it's it's supply and demand. If you don't reach out and make a lot of music, then no one's going to know it's out there. Or, whatever, vice versa. But basically, we decided to get back together. I didn't want to let the brand die, and just feel inspired up about stuff. So we're cranking them out now and getting these two EPs together. We're gonna actually release two EPs, a couple of months apart. And that's how we plan on going about catching up from all the time off. A couple of records is better than just one, You
touch upon a few interesting things. Supply and demand. If you don't put the music out there, people won't even know to receive it. And the other thing you mentioned is that you guys will be putting out two EPs during the calendar year 2014 as opposed to albums, which was the case in the past. You guys started out releasing albums in the late 90s, early 2000s, as I mentioned, when the music industry was a lot different than it was today. Proper albums
Correct.
was the way to go. It was major labels were the way to go. MTV still had a significant role in band success or lack of success, and it seems all of that has changed. Did any of the changes within the music industry come into play when it came to Orgy being one of those bands that you thought of, well, I like them, I wonder what happened to them. Now you see they have a new single, you go, I'm going to check that out.
Right, but so your question is how the industry's receiving that, is what you're saying?
My question was, did the way the music industry changed have any role in Orgy seemingly going away for a period of time?
Oh, well, I mean, that had some factor, it a little bit, but not. It wasn't a significant factor in why we went away. It was more, everybody was kind of just going their different ways. The guitarist broke off, did their Julian K thing, and I didn't want to let the brand die, basically. So I kind of decided to bring it back, and it just didn't seem like we were going to be able to work it out with the original members. So I got a whole new band, and it's really coming along really, really good. I think this is the best version of Orgy ever. I do believe, but basically, the changes in the industry had a lot to do with why maybe the second record wasn't very successful, or it was successful. But no complaints there. It went gold and all that. But I think that downloading and things like that, were all a factor in why it wasn't another platinum record. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't it interesting that back then an album going gold wasn't seen quite as significant as it is today? When an album goes gold, no one's going gold these days. Back then, you go in gold, oh man, our last one went platinum. It took a little decrease.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it's not that music doesn't sell still, because it does. It's just that no one goes gold because no one buys whole records. You see what I'm saying? So that that whole that plays a big factor in why there's not a lot of platinum and gold and platinum records.
People aren't going to stores to buy albums these days. They're downloading singles off iTunes. Pretty much is where it's at.
Exactly. You can't. I mean, I don't remember the last time I bought a CD at all. You know what I mean? So
we're chatting with Jay Gordon of Orgy here on WXBR. You mentioned something interesting to me. The version of Orgy, which exists circa 2014, which will be touring and releasing some EPs this year. You're the lead singer, as was the case back in the day, but everyone else is not the same. It is an entirely different lineup, yourself aside. from the band that released those albums in the late 90s and early 2000s. You mentioned that some of the other band members did some side projects which kind of took away from Orgy being prominent or being out there releasing new music for a period of time. With the success that you guys were having, why would you guys want to do any side projects which could potentially take away from what one would think would be the main band?
To be honest, it had a lot to do with, some people just aren't really happy with, with their I don't know, their position in the band. Like, I would imagine, Ryan wanting to be a singer instead of a guitar player played a significant role in why Julian K happened. But, I don't hate on them for that. Like, I think that it could have all worked out to where we could have done both. And, according to them, it's just like, it's crazy. It's like, it's like my fault that I didn't wait for them and stuff like that. But, like, honestly, you can only call a guy so many times to get together with them and talk about, when can we do this tour, And it's like, if I would have left it to everyone else of the original lineup, then who knows, God only knows when we would have gotten back together as the original band and done that. Because I was not opposed to that at all. And I just said, well, I'm going to do the next best thing. And I know people don't really like when you do those kind of lineup changes and everything, but I think people are going to be really surprised. Even the people that have came out to see the band last year and our last tour, I think that those people are going to be like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that this new stuff is really, really good. Like, and I'm not just saying that. Like, it's like I really listen to a lot of factors, and I listen to a lot of people tell me, I take a lot of opinions, from people that don't listen to that kind of music even and stuff like that. I know if I can get those people connected and them to like it, then it should be easier for the people that were already there in the past.
What do the guys from the original lineup from the band think of you touring with other guys calling yourself Orgy now? Are they cool with it? Did they have a little bit of a problem with it? Is it something you try to work out with them before you did it? How's that exactly work?
Honestly, it would have been best to get their blessing, and stuff like that. Which it kind of seemed like they would be cool with at first, but to be honest, no, they're not really happy about it. They've gone online and said this and that, and I was really shocked too because I've supported their efforts, and Orgy was always, I came up with the name for the band and I licensed it to the band originally. Now, with the preconception of knowing that nothing lasts forever, maybe. But I licensed the name to the original band, and it was as easy as doing a termination letter after all these years, and then and just saying, hey, I'm going to move forward, and I got a new band together, and it's the new lineup has changed a couple times. We've changed drummers, we've changed a bass player and a guitar player. So, but basically, this is the most solid this band's ever been, and whether they like it or not, it's a done deal, And I really like it, and we get along so great, and it's been like it's been such it's been a fun experience. Like playing music is fun again, and all of a sudden I find myself super inspired to make music and make better records, and these records are killing it right now. You know what I mean? Like this is the way I've always envisioned the band should be. So whatever had to happen happened, and Orgy will finally be what my original intention was. So.
And the new single is Wide Awake and Dead, which we will play out to at the tail end of this interview. It's your voice, there's heavy guitars. I have to say, it does sound like Orgy.
Sure. I spent a lot of time on the, on our previous efforts, and, I've definitely gotten better at programming, and, I do a lot of DJing and stuff like that now, and I've really gotten the electronic side of it more together. Like, on the first record, I definitely, always had the EDM influence. It was always the electronic dance music was always, part of Orgy's sound. But I left the dance stuff to the dance guys, and I just did rock stuff. Just kind of, did as little programming as I could. Well, it's not that I did a little programming. That's actually not true. I just wasn't so into the dance stuff back then, and it wasn't as huge of an entity as it is now. It's a force now. So I've gotten really good with the help of some of my good friends that are really sick DJs and stuff, and I've really learned how to hone in those talents. That whole style. So whether it's dubstep or whether it's electro or whatever, you're going to hear a lot of those influences on this record. But I'd like to say that we've done that with as much tact as possible.
We're chatting with Jay Gordon of Orgy here on WXBR, and I must admit, Jay, the machinations of this sort of thing do fascinate me. When you started the band, you owned the name Orgy, and you licensed it to the other band members. So in essence, you
Correct.
owned the band name since day one, and the other guys working under the confines of the Orgy name were essentially employees of the corporation. I mean, I know it's a band, but people have to realize these bands are businesses in themselves.
Sure. I mean, that's, there's plenty of bands that are like that. It's not that I didn't split things up evenly with the original band, because I did, as I do now. But it's just that, it's really important. I thought of it as being really important anyway when I first came up with the name, which, was not like it was more like, oh, this should be cool. Like, it wasn't like I, really designed this name or anything. It just kind of came together, and I looked at it as a culmination of a lot of styles. And basically, yeah, I felt it was really important to, own the name and, and protect myself, or protect the name anyway, so that Orgy can continue. So, and that's made this possible.
At the beginning of this interview, I credited the single Blue Monday and your appearances on the Family Values Tour as sort of being the ignition that started Orgy
Sure.
being a prominent band. Of course, you guys had significant singles following Blue Monday as well. Stitches got a lot of radio airplay and a lot of play on MTV and things of that nature. The bands that I associate with Orgy the most, despite the fact they really don't sound too much like you guys in terms of style, is Korn and Limp Bizkit as a result of you guys sort of all coming up together on the Family Values Tour. Do you still keep in touch with those guys, or not so much?
Not so much, but it's not like I don't want to. Everybody's moved away. Everybody's like kind of, gone their separate directions. But I would love to do like the Family Values thing again. And it's not that I'm not friends with all those guys. I think maybe a few of those people too, probably thought that it probably wasn't the best idea for me to break up the unit like I've been given credit for. But really, I don't think anybody realizes it was like, I've just, heard little things like, I've ran into a couple of them, and they're like, oh, what happened? And I'm just like, well, there was just no other choice, the way I felt about it anyway, like, I was either going to do this or forget it, and I had to do it then. So basically, that was my decision for doing that. But yeah, Korn and Limp Bizkit, those guys really helped us get established and stuff like that. So, I owe those guys a lot, and, thank God for their support, and the firm and, my old management and all those people, I really, respect and, still love. So it's all good. Like, I don't hold any grudges against anybody, and I don't blame anybody for things happening, not so good, and, just keep moving forward and keep my head up. So, but hopefully that, everything's cool with all those people, and, I'll always be a supporter of their music and their efforts. So, regardless of how they respond to mine. So, there you go.
The initial Orgy albums, I believe, were released on an imprint of a major label that was owned by the guys in Korn. That ended at some point, but you enjoyed the experience?
One more time, please.
I believe the original Orgy albums, correct me if I'm wrong, were on a record label that was owned by the members of Korn. So you guys were actually in business with them at one point outside of the fact you guys toured together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And at some point that ended. Did everything end well with those guys? I mean, we've already talked about it a little bit, mixing business and, artistic vision and things of that nature.
Yeah. No. Everything's great as far as that goes. As far as that goes, I don't know that Elementary is still in existence, but it might be. I'm just not exactly sure. as I haven't spoken to a lot of them. But, it was mostly like a Warner Brothers situation when it came to Orgy, because it was part of the Warner Brothers Reprise label system. So that's kind of what was going on with that.
We're chatting with Jay Gordon of Orgy here on WXBR. The new single is Wide Awake and Dead. We talked about this a little earlier, Jay, that there's been many changes in the music industry. And when Orgy first reached prominence, I think one of the main marketing tools that bands would use in order to get exposure was MTV. And you guys certainly got plenty of MTV exposure through the videos for Blue Monday and Stitches. It's funny to think about nowadays because people do associate the old TRL with being NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, and Britney Spears. But bands like you and Korn were right up there with them for a period of time. You appeared on that show a few times right alongside pop stars. Oh,
sure. I mean, we were fighting with Cher and Madonna for with I don't know if it was Blue Monday or Stitches, but both of those videos did so well on TRL. I really owe MTV a lot for their support and their efforts as well. So, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. MTV was very pivotal. That was huge for Orgy's success.
It's funny to think about nowadays that show is strictly associated with bubblegum pop acts, but there was a point in time where rock acts did play a significant role in the show. I bring that up because circa 2014, that show no longer exists. It was a joke then that MTV was playing less music videos then than they had previously. At this point, they more or less play little to no music videos on their channel, and music videos are pretty much a YouTube online thing, and bands are having to really go to the internet through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter in order to get exposure. What is Orgy doing in 2014 to kind of keep up with the times in terms of how the music industry is going in terms of marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the MTV thing, although I do find myself watching some of those shows, like Rob Dyrdek's really funny, and, I watch a few of those shows, but basically, we're working with a lot of people right now as far as, there's so many different routes you can go with the whole internet thing, and we're starting to really get involved a lot more actually. Myself personally, I'm starting to tweet and do things like that more than I was doing it when they first came out. I had Twitter, and I'm always on top of that kind of stuff. I just wasn't so active on a lot of those things, but now I'm a lot more active on those platforms.
Well, the new single is Wide Awake and Dead. You mentioned 2 EPs will be coming out this year. When can folks expect those EPs to be released, and when can folks expect to see you guys performing in this area?
Well, it's looking like April, May will be the first EP, and I believe that's going to be titled "Welcome to My Girlfriend," but I'm not exactly sure. It could change, so I just want to reserve that right now.
Okay.
But no, basically, I think it's going to be called "Welcome to My Girlfriend." That should be out April, May, and then the second one, there's only just a few months apart, so and there's no title.
Well, we'll be looking forward to that, and the new single "Wide Awake and Dead" is available on iTunes right now, correct?
Sure.
Well, that is Jay Gordon. Yep, continue.
It's doing really well, and I got to thank the fans for sticking by us over the years and helping us get through it, and get to the next level again. So, but I think we're gonna attract a whole, different audience with this record as well. I think it's gonna appeal to a lot broader audience. So we'll see how it goes.
That's Jay Gordon of Orgy joining us here on WXBR. We're going to play out to the new single, Wide Awake and Dead. Jay, any final words for our listeners before I let you go?
No, other than, please go to orgymusic.com. The single's available on iTunes, and come see us when we play. So, we're definitely going to get the word out there, and that's it,
We'll play out to Wide Awake and Dead, then we'll do a local news update courtesy of Mike Pava. Stick with us here on WXBR.